Hi there, my name is Owen Bastable and I'm a trainer with Project React. I'm going to give you a brief overview today of a React strategy called the Neutralizing Routine. So I'd like to cover three things. One is what a neutralizing routine is, what it's not, how to use it, why to use it, and then give you some examples and some resources. So I'll start with this idea of the vulnerable decision point. So a vulnerable decision point is a specific decision you may encounter in which you're more vulnerable to the effects of implicit bias. It has two parts. One is the situation, and two is a decision state or an internal state you may be experiencing. And I want to illustrate this with a personal example. So for me, a vulnerable decision point was more likely to occur in a classroom in the afternoon, especially if I hadn't had enough to eat that day or I was tired. And specifically when I was giving directions and I observed students ignoring me, talking with a peer, maybe their head down or joking around, that for me was a VDP, or a time where I was more likely to respond harshly toward that student or a group of students. So a neutralizing routine is quite simply an instructional response to unwanted behavior for adults. And that's important. It's a strategy for adults instead of a harsh response when experiencing a VDP. There are 5 critical features to a neutralizing routine if-then statement. So for me, if a student ignored my request, I would use this neutralizing routine. I will count to 5 and try again. It's brief, it's clear, has 1, 2, 3 steps that we can follow. It's doable, and it helps interrupt a chain of events. So what it's not something that we are doing to take a privilege away from a student. It's an action that we can easily do in a class setting. It's not a gentler way to exclude students. Rather, it is a way to keep students engaged in instruction, so we can do it while they're in the class instead of having them leave. It's not a long procedure, so it can be done briefly, quick pause, and then back to what we were doing with the student. So it helps us pause before responding. That is a basic part of the neutralizing routine, so that we can proceed in a way that increases student positive behavior and decreases unwanted behavior. How do we do it? So when we see unwanted student behavior, we need to stop and ask ourselves, first of all, is this a VDP? So is this predictably a situation that's harder for me, or am I finding myself in a decision state that's going to make it harder for me to respond positively to a student? If so, I have an agreed upon neutralizing routine that I can call upon, which is the neutralizing routine. And here's some examples. So if this is a VDP, I can delay the decision. I can reframe the situation, and here's some examples of neutralizing routines for that, and then I can take care of myself. And I'll give you a chance to go back and look at this in more detail if you wish later on. So considering your experiences already, you may already have neutralizing routines that you use, you just haven't called them that. So these might be professional or personal experiences that you've had. You can pause here and take a minute maybe to write down a few of what those might be for you. I'd like to finish with some examples. Here's a simple one, try, which is a school-wide example. And you can see it stands for take a deep breath, reflect on your emotions, and keep the youth's best interest. So it's something that's easy to teach as well and easy to remember. And here's a way you could even use it as a chant that you could teach to students. Here's an example for students. Take a deep breath, reflect on your feelings, you've got this. And you see the yield sign, that could be something that could be posted around the school. It also might be something that ties in with an existing social emotional theme. So I'd like to finish with the big ideas. Neutralizing routine is an instructional response that we can use in place of a harsh response, and this is for adults, remember that. It's got 5 critical features, which I reviewed. One example is try. And we use neutralizing routines to help slow down our decisions and respond in ways that are more in line with our values. If you need more detailed information, you can follow this link right here, and you can also contact me. Thank you so much for checking out this video.